was like, well, man, the younger people can drive here.
I feel like it would have been nice to have he would roll it in a way which was perfect, right?
And this is the show that makes him calm.
Misty was there.
Yeah.
Right? She already knew. She knew that I was transitioning.
Is this really how it is? Is this
It's good because I took that next step and like pretty much.
is it's like is flying as complicated as it like looks like? I mean, because Filipino spaghetti or Italian spaghetti?
Do you have unlimited rice? Like,
Instead of bro. Instead of bro.
Kumusta?
Oh, I got some
Oh.
Filipino audience here. Yeah, I want to introduce my guest for today. My guest is Mr. Ray, Mr. Emong. He
Emong.
is one of my best friends, and we've known each other for, man, it's been like over 2000. So we moved here 2006. So it's like over 18 years now.
Yeah, 18 years.
That's
Yeah.
crazy to think about. We've known each other for 18 years. That's like more than half of my life.
Yeah.
I've known you.
I still
Yeah.
remember that day too because I know your mom brought you over to Tita Arlene's house and
Yeah, yeah.
then yeah it was I think was Cyrus there?
Cyrus was there. It was you and Sai.
Oh,
Yeah, it was you and Sai.
okay.
And I always tell you this story, right? Like we saw you and Sai, and we we thought Sai, who's like this huge dude, was the older one, and we thought you were like just 15, 16-year-old. And then the first thing I thought I told Jam and you, I was like, because we had just moved here maybe a week. It was probably a week or less than a week. And the first thing I said was like, well, man, the younger people can drive here. I was like, the young people can drive here. 60-year-old like kid can drive here. You
No,
were
I think I
driving
remember that.
the old Volvo. I remember.
I was driving the old Volvo. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. Man, so yeah,
Oh.
like this is Ray. You wanna do a little intro, Ray, on who you are? I think we covered a lot there already.
Yeah, I think we
When did
did.
when did Joe move here? You weren't born
So
here, right?
no, I wasn't born there. I was born in UAE.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I was born in Abu Dhabi or
Abu
Abu
Dhabi.
Dhabi.
Is your sister born in Abu Dhabi as well, or was she
Yeah,
born here?
both of us were.
Whoa!
Yeah.
So for those that are listening, my dad is actually from the UAE, but he's actually more Emirati than me because he's born in the UAE, and I was born in the Philippines. No, Yusuf, my youngest brother, is born in the UAE as well,
Yeah,
and
so I think
that's
that's the one thing. I think Cyrus too. Cyrus was born
no
in the
way.
UAE. Hmm
Cyrus.
VJ was born. His brother was born in the Philippines.
Wow. And
Hmm
that's actually pretty common. Like I went to Filipino schools in the UAE, and that was pretty common. Like I had probably half of my class, uh, they were born in the UAE, and they end up just moving back home to the Philippines to continue their studies. But yeah,
I
what?
I think that was the one cool thing. Like I found out because like we moved to the States pretty young, so
Yeah,
we never got to experience the I guess that Filipino like lifestyle, like that culture in the UAE because we
yeah,
moved
yeah.
young. I think I was 7 or 8, and
Yeah.
so I
Wow,
never
that's
got.
pretty young. That's like
Yeah,
Yusuf. That's like when Yusuf moved here. Yeah, I think he was like 8 or 9 or 10. So.
man, they gave us like a big despedida party, and I was like, hey, enjoy your time in America.
Man, I want to talk about that. Like, do you ever think like, man, I wish I grew up in the Philippines, or are you like, man, I'm pretty lucky that I grew up here.
I don't know, maybe a mix of both. Like, I feel like it would have been nice to have grown up with that many Filipinos around me
Yeah,
because, you know, like the only connection to your culture pretty much was your parents, like, so, and they didn't really enforce speaking Tagalog at the house,
oh
but they
really?
did. They would speak Tagalog in the house, and you're kind of like, at that point you're learning English, you're speaking English at school, and
At the
so
same time.
at the same time, and you're like, oh man, so this is
Wait, were you speaking in English? So you moved here when you were 8. What were you
yeah.
speak? What was your first language? I never asked you this question before.
I think we were speaking English in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they were teaching you English in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, they were trying
Oh,
to
yeah, in the schools. But
in
Tita
the
and
schools they
Tito,
were
they spoke to you guys in English as well.
yeah they spoke to us in English. I think all their lessons were in English.
Wow.
And so it wasn't really like a hard transition when you moved to the States because but then at that point everybody's talking like speaking in English, and so
Did you guys go to a Filipino school, or was it like a mixed school? Because that was one of the struggles we had when we moved here, is like speaking in English. Because like I said in the last episode with Jam, I was like, man, we really struggle to speak
oh
English because we were around Filipinos so much. Even though we were in a different country, we were around Filipinos so much. Even in schools, it was Filipino schools. It was all like 95 or 96% was like Filipinos.
are you talking about schools in the States or in the
In
UAE?
the UAE, where it was in a
I think
mix.
that I think it was mixed because we
Oh,
went to
okay.
I think we went to a Catholic school there.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, I
Yeah,
guess.
and so it was definitely mixed. And so they had a lot of focus on you had to learn English, and I think it was almost like is it like a British system of learning there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think in the past 10 years there has been a lot more of that American, because you have American University in Sharjah now, which is another emirate in UAE, and then in Dubai you have like the American hospital and then the American University as well there. But yeah, it was a lot more heavily British,
Okay,
British
yeah,
influence. Yeah,
that's what I remember. And so when we went to the States, and it wasn't like a hard transition.
yeah.
Everything was already in English. Now, I did struggle with like grammar, like there's a big difference between grammar and like spoken English,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
when you're living in like the city of New York. Like
yeah.
what you learn in grammar class didn't translate directly into how kids were speaking with you, especially with the slang, all the. It was. I thought
Wait,
I was with
where
that.
in New York were you guys at?
We were in the Bronx.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, that's a
And so,
different. What's it called? Different kind of English you gotta
oh,
speak over there.
different kind of English. Yeah, it was tough. But
Do you remember having a lot of was there a lot of Filipino community in Bronx growing up? Or
so there's a big Filipino community in New York, especially in New York City. But I felt that at the school we were in,
yeah,
I didn't see a lot of Filipinos. It was mostly especially that area of that neighborhood we were at. There was a big Italian community, so you saw a lot of Italian descent attending the school.
yeah, yeah.
And then you had me, the lone like Filipino
The
kid.
only Filipino adobo.
Oh, it was
Man,
so you compared that to like when you were in UAE, you had birthday parties with other Filipino
yeah,
kids, and then you go here and it's like, oh, so like what's your name? Oh, I'm Raymond. Where you come from? Like the Middle East. I'm from UAE. And they were like, oh, that's pretty cool. Do you guys watch football there? And I'm like, yeah, I like watching football. They're like, who's your favorite team? And at the time we moved, I think it was the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers who were pretty
yeah, yeah.
popular.
Back then,
But
yeah, they still are, but
I've never heard of American football. I've heard of football,
yeah.
but so I said, yeah, I like football, or I like, at the
But it
time as
was,
a kid,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
And
pretty
then they
interesting
were like,
because like all over the world, when you say football, like we had this conversation with Gems, like they think soccer,
yeah,
but any other place, any other country in the world, it's football. But here and Canada, it's soccer for some reason. And that's
yeah,
another funny thing because like Canada is basically like they're like more British, right? Like
they are, they
they
are.
speak American, but like they have the Queen on cash, on their money, but they still say soccer.
Yeah,
I never got that. Yeah.
yeah, and I really got I think I wasn't teased for it, but like they just I think it was also as much of a culture shock for them as it was for me. Because
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them, I don't think they had someone who came from abroad. Everyone was from the city or everyone was local. So to them, they're like, "Whoa, where are you coming from? You're coming from the desert?" I'm like, not that's not like
from the desert.
like for them, like, do you live in like tents or something like that? I was like, no, we
Yeah.
live in apartments. We have malls.
Because back then, Dubai wasn't Dubai now.
Oh no,
So
no,
like when you
it
say you're
wasn't.
from the Middle East, they really
They
were thinking deserts.
No, yeah, so for them it
Yeah.
was much of a culture shock, and so for them they're like the first thing, like, and you try to fit in, you try to like blend in, try to make some friends, and so for me it was kind of tough because American culture for me I was not, I didn't have a good grasp on what American culture was or what they liked,
Yeah.
like I like to play outside, but for them they liked. I don't know if you still remember this. They had like playing cards. They had Pogs. Remember Pogs?
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember
Yeah,
Pugs.
yeah. They were into Pogs. They were big into American football. I was like, I have no idea who Brett Favre is, or
Oh
and then
man,
you're
let's
like,
hope there's not any Green Bay Packers in our audience.
yeah. So they
Man,
were
you're
like,
gonna get some hate in the comments.
oh,
Man, you
most likely,
that
most
guy.
likely. So,
What so
but
like
yeah,
speaking of like culture shock, what we had that me and my brothers had that when we first moved here. What did you think? I never asked you this question. Like, what did you think when you first like saw us? Because we couldn't really speak English well. Like, I tried, but my like Jam and Yusuf, they were like really shy to speak. But man, were you really thinking, man, these guys are really like,
shy.
yeah,
I think for us it was shy. Like we're like, man, they're really shy. But like I think me and Sai knew that. Like we're like,
yeah,
oh, you know what? But like I thought it was cool. I think more likely Sai was trying to break the ice
yeah,
because that's pretty much Sai. Like Sai is just like, I'll do whatever I can to break the ice. I don't get like
yeah, yeah.
I'll make fun of myself or whatever. But like that's Cyrus.
Man,
Cyrus
I
is
need to
like,
get Sai on
yeah.
the podcast. Man, if I get you and Sai together on the podcast, man, it's gonna be
Yeah,
it's
but
gonna be wild.
yeah, but I think, yeah, for our initial reaction was I think for me, I think, oh man, yeah, they're like yeah, they're pretty shy. Like I don't know what I could talk about because like for me, I had the same thing. I was embarrassed that I didn't know how to speak Tagalog. I was like,
Right?
man, and remember, like Cyrus does the same thing. He had a hard time, but like I think he made an effort. It's like, oh, now that I know, Jam, Faye, and Yusef, I'm gonna learn. And then every time we had a hangout, every time we got together, he would make it like a priority to say something.
Say something.
And then I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good, and it was cool. It was it kind of made me my comfort level, like it increased my comfort level too. I was like, if Sai's doing this, I can do this.
Yeah, because I remember you guys were asking us to play tennis, and we
Yes.
were like, tennis.
Yeah.
We play basketball. We never played tennis. But as soon as like, okay, you guys want to play basketball? Okay, we'll take you to the park. As soon as we took you guys up, you got hooked.
I got hooked. I got
You were
hooked.
like, forget tennis. I'm gonna play
I
basketball.
think before that, I think I only watched basketball. I think
Okay,
I didn't really play basketball, but I enjoyed
watching it. Yeah,
watching it because like when we first moved to Carolina, I hate to say this, but I really became a fan of Duke basketball because
boo.
I know, and the reason why I liked it is because the majority of their players at the time would shoot threes, right? They had
Yeah.
like a lot of guard play. And so, Coach K likes to recruit guards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I really like that. And I think that's why when I started watching the NBA, I really, I was really drawn to Steve Nash. He was probably my favorite guard.
I remember you trying to like
Oh,
try to
oh my
copy
God! I
his.
tried to emulate it so
Yeah, I
bad.
was
Even
set a pick for you. Oh, sorry. That's my mic up.
when-
Huh? Set a pick for you, screen, and then you
Oh
go
man.
take that curl. Man,
Oh
and
my
then
God, yeah.
when we played 2K, man, we were so into the video games. When we would play 2K
Yeah.
all night,
Oh my God, all night. It was
you
like
just play Steve Nash and the
it was
Suns
always
over
Steve
and over
Nash.
again.
And it was like the same kind of play. It was a pick and roll. Like a
Pick and
pick
roll
and
with Amari
roll.
Stoudemire.
Amari Stoudemire.
Man, if you go around the screen, you just drop it to Stoudemire and he'll dunk from like the free throw.
Yeah.
Unstoppable. Man, we would do like remember we would do tournaments.
We would do tournaments
We'd
and then
write it on paper, and I think you won a couple with the Suns just because you had the Suns.
I actually enjoy. Yeah, it wasn't just the games that I enjoyed, but I actually enjoyed the process of leading up to the games. And I remember Jam being
Oh, he was so into it.
he was so meticulous.
Yeah.
He was like if the paper was crumpled in any way, he would write a new one, or his penmanship was so
Yeah, yeah.
it was perfect. Like,
Scratch
and
that,
then
scratch that.
and
We
then
gotta start over.
he would roll it in a way which was perfect, right? Like if it wasn't rolled properly, yeah, no, that was it, no. And then he would put it into like a little basket, and he's like, okay, here you go, shake, 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 and then
The first pick, Suns. Okay.
that,
And all of us were like, oh.
ooh. Remember how we would claim our teams. We would have
Yeah.
like you can't pick the Suns. That's my team.
That's
Like,
Ray. That's Ray.
it was
And
like, if you're-
Spurs. And
Our
Spurs.
right?
That's
We would-
Ray.
we would
I had
claim-
Lakers and the Heat. I like
But
Lakers and the Heat.
remember, there was some tension when LeBron went to the Heat because
Yeah.
they're
Because Jam
now-
is a huge LeBron fan. And
Very
so,
big
like, when LeBron signed with the Heat, we were like, man, whose team is the Heat now?
Was it-
Because I like Dwayne Wade.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we made like whenever we did the tournaments, I think we made like a special rule.
It was a special rule, yeah. And then your brother was like, "You can use it, but you can't use LeBron James.
Exactly.
You can
Man.
use it, but you have to put LeBron James on the bench." I mean, what kind of team puts LeBron James on the bench?
Man,
Uh,
me and Jem
yeah.
talked about this in the last episode. How our parents were kind of strict with video games,
Oh yeah.
and we couldn't play in the weekdays like at all. And I was like, telling like how with my kids now, I let them play in the weekdays as long as schoolwork's done and they have they're doing well with their soccer stuff, with their extracurricular stuff. So were your parents like pretty strict with video games, or were you a video game fan before meeting us, or?
I think my parents were overly strict to the point where we didn't have video games.
No.
I think my first encounter with video games, I think, was when we first moved to the States. Like, even to
really?
that. So
Wow.
I know my parents, not so much my dad, but more my mom. I feel like it's usually the Filipino moms who are strict. I don't know. I don't know if that was the same case for you, but I know with Cyrus, he would say the same thing. His mom is extremely strict.
I mean, my mom was strict and my dad was like I'll tell you this, like my mom was strict and my dad was here when I was.
Oh,
young.
okay. Yeah.
And then
So-
slowly over time, my dad like got chiller and more chill, and more chill.
But your mom just stayed the same.
My mom just stayed there. So they were both strict, and then my dad just like the more that I guess it was like more of his job. The more that he started to work less and less, like the more chill he got. My mom was like still the same.
Yeah, I know. So I think, growing up, I didn't really have video games. We didn't play video games. Usually, like, our form of entertainment was going outside. Even television. We didn't have cable or satellite. yeah, it was
Oh, I remember we didn't have cable either. We didn't have cable.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so but I would remember because, Cyrus and VJ, we would always hang out like pretty frequently. And they had cable and
Oh,
I don't know.
TFC.
I think they had TFC because I know Tita loves TFC. So, like, if you had to get cable, you had to get the plan that had TFC, the one channel that you would pay
get
like
the cable
$99
because of the
just for.
TFC. That's
Yeah,
what you get the cable for.
exactly. You wouldn't get it for like CNN or like
Yeah.
HBO. You got it for TFC. Like, and I think it was like, what was the show that they like? Eat Bulaga.
Eat
Uh,
Bulaga. Oh,
Eat
I'm just gonna
Bulaga,
tell
yeah.
you a story about that.
Uh,
Like with my newborn Ilyas now, right? Sometimes we would have sometimes he'll just be fussy for no reason, like he's just 1 month old.
mhm.
But my mom likes to still watch Eat Bulaga. Like
Oh.
it's on YouTube now, and this is the show that makes him calm. You put Eat Bulaga on, and he just like watches, just calm. Like I was like, okay, this
Uh,
kid is really Filipino. He's just watching Eat
uh,
Bulaga.
I like.
Yeah,
I'll come home and I'll visit my parents. So Misty and I will come back home just once in a while to visit.
yeah.
And it's gotten to the point now where like you said, everything's on YouTube,
Yeah.
and he'll just watch. I don't know what show he's watching, but you'll hear it because you know your typical Filipino show, game show.
Yeah.
Everything is loud. Everything is like everyone. I mean, it's like sensory overload. If no one has ever seen it, like you're like,
It's
what is?
dude, my kids, Ali and Milo, they're like, is this really how it is? Is this Uh, you have like the 5 girl group that's dancing on this corner. You have
Exactly.
you have the 2 guys that are like commentating, like making jokes, and then you have like the sound effects, boing, like in the background, like what? What are
There's
you? What are you supposed to focus on?
that's exactly. There's so many things going on at one time. It's like I'm not sure.
Dude.
I can't remember if Misty. I think Misty was trying to sleep at one
Oh,
night. I literally had to tell my dad. I was like, Dad, you got to turn this down. Like she can't sleep because like it was so loud. Even when the volume was like at low, you could hear
yeah.
it. And then I turned it down, and my dad goes, "How am I supposed to enjoy it? I like the sound of it."
And then they wonder why the contestant gets it wrong. There's so many things going on. Like, what are they supposed to? What are they supposed to focus on, man?
Yeah. So growing up, I didn't really have good video games. I think I would. The funny thing is, I would get live updates. For me, that's how I would go to school, and they would like, "Hey, did you watch this episode?" I was like, "No. Can you tell me what happened?" So, that was my way of reliving what happened in that episode. I would tell Cyrus, "Hey, can we swing by, sleep over, whatever?" And then we would watch because like I know Cyrus had I think they had the Nintendo 64. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So I think when my parents finally gave my sister and I the option of getting our first video game console,
Mhm.
we were
What was that?
so excited that we kind of just jumped on the first thing that we could find, not thinking, hey, they already have a PlayStation or they already
You're
have
like, I
a,
just want a
I
video
just
game.
want one. And then
What did you guys end up getting?
I ended up getting a Nintendo SNES, the
Oh,
classic. Yeah,
SNES.
but then at the time, I think 3D gaming was starting to hit off, and so I think the 64 came out
Yeah.
with Mario 64. So that was the new piece of technology at the time. And then we go to Best Buy and we get a SNES.
And now you're one generation behind.
And we're always behind. We're always one step behind, or not one step, more like 4 steps behind.
You get the PS4. Finally, you get the
Finally.
PlayStation console.
Yes.
Man.
But yeah, but
yeah.
that was I know for me that was the thing. But I think it helped out a bit because I wasn't like now. I think I played a lot of video games when I was with you guys. I think I
Yeah.
played more when I was with you guys. And so,
Yeah, and that was like whenever we played, it was almost always on the weekends. Like it was like
I,
you would be on the way home or something, and
yeah,
you'd all play because we didn't play much during the weekdays, even when we already moved here anyway.
I
So
think you guys got me into gaming. I know that. I know you
yeah,
and Jam did because uh, especially not with just like with the console, but I think even with like PC gaming.
yeah, yeah.
I know because I think what was the game at the time? It was Lord of the Rings was a big one, and Age of Empires
Age of
was a big one.
Empires. Yeah. Oh man, we need to get
Yeah.
Jam.
Oh
You
my
and
goodness.
Jam, Jam will talk the whole episode about Age of
Oh
Empires
my
and
goodness.
Lord of the Rings and how like he had what was the clan that he used? Was it the humans or?
So I know with Lord of the Rings, he really liked. Was it men? Because he loved the Rohirrim.
Yeah.
It was
Oh
Rohirrim.
man, when
Uh,
he would like place all his clans,
yeah. And then
all
I
his
with
clans, and then he would shout Rohirrim. Oh man, you would panic. You would panic. You're like,
I would
oh
panic.
man,
I would
it's
panic.
coming.
Like I haven't even built an army yet, and he's already
Yeah,
coming and he's already attacking my village. Like I'm like, okay, this is what else? And then in
man.
Age of Empires, he really favored. He loved to play. I think Japan. Japan was one of his favorites. I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because he loved the samurai.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I know you love playing with India. You love
I love India. Yeah, with the
India
elephants. They
with the
had those
elephants.
huge elephants. Oh man.
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
I know for him, he enjoyed Japan. I think even Cyrus. I don't know if Cyrus really got into PC gaming at the time either. I think
He
everyone.
tried a couple times, but
Yeah,
he
for him, he's a really big Nintendo fan. I know that.
yeah.
Like
Smash
he's
Bros.
yeah, Smash Brothers. He's really big into that. But I know our other friends were big into PC. I know it was funny. One time I think I went to I decided to swing by and visit, and as soon as I walk in, your mom's over there, like just hanging out, like she was making her signature. I think her signature lumpia,
Yeah.
and then you guys literally had every one of your towers out in the living room. It almost looked like a internet cafe.
Yeah,
Like I was like, oh,
Even Vincent, even B-Boy and the Pareja brothers were there.
I know.
Man.
I know. One time, Jam got so frustrated with me because everyone had good computers, and then I was bringing this lousy one. He was like, "Ray, you're slowing
You're
everyone
slowing
down."
down the
Like,
progress.
I think the screen would freeze, and then all of a sudden, like they're like, what's going on?" Like I was lagging the whole. Like I don't know which one, network or what.
Man.
But yeah, but
I
yeah,
wanna
that
I
was
wanna I wanna get into your flight training.
yeah, yeah.
And that could be also that I had a question about that with parenting. Like how did your parents took that? Like when you said you were I want to be a pilot. Is that how you said it, or how did you open that up to them?
So I know it wasn't a very easy thing to say because
I
you
imagine.
probably understand in Filipino culture, it's a very, I guess, you try to do your own thing, but you also want to do what's best for, like what your parents want. That's why
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of Filipinos are nurses for that reason.
Hey,
You
I
know,
was a nurse for 2 years.
I know, right, right.
Yeah, so I switched careers. I completely understand.
But
What was the
no,
conversation like?
I think it was after COVID, or
Oh,
I think it was during COVID, and I kind of brought it up, and then I think having my wife because like Misty was there,
yeah,
right? She knew that I was transitioning into this, and she was okay with that, and then like it was easier for me to tell Misty compared to my parents, but then I knew I had to sit down with them, and like you said, like how your dad is chilled and
yeah,
mellowed out over the years.
yeah,
I think the same goes for my parents. They've kind of mellowed down and taken a step back with their strict views and ways.
yeah, yeah.
Where when I told them, I was shocked that they said, "Yeah, do it."
Oh, really? That
Yeah,
wasn't what I was expecting either.
um, but like, they're always gonna have like concerns, like, oh, but that's just like a typical parent. Like,
Parent, yeah.
okay, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And like, at first it was like, why didn't you do this earlier? But you can't say why didn't you do this earlier when you got that, like what you said, it's hard to build that trust with your parents and tell them because
Yeah,
they say, oh no, we don't want you to do that, or
exactly.
we want you to do this, or direct you this way. And so, it was easier this time around just letting her know, like them know, this is what I want to do, and it's good because I took that next step and like pretty much pretty close to getting to where I want to be. So yeah,
Yeah, like how's your training going? I think you
I
recently passed a test.
yeah, I
What
passed my
test did you
commercial
pass?
test. I got my commercial license on
Let's
Friday.
go.
Yeah, and then I'll be transitioning into certified flight instructor. So I'll be building my hours that way.
Okay,
So
like how many hours is it needed
so
for the?
usually, if you there are several ways to meet your minimums. Like if you attend a university that's partnered with ABI, there's like an AABI certification.
Uh-huh.
You can actually get your minimum hours in 1,000 hours.
Oh
So,
wow. So it just
but
depends on like the institution.
depends on the institution. So if you do a university and the university is a partner university,
Uh-huh.
you have to take a certain amount of credit hours. I believe it's 60 credit hours in aviation related courses,
Hmm.
and it has to include all your flight training as well. And
Wow.
once you achieve all six, those 60 credit hours, and you build the 1,000 hours, you can actually transition into a regional airlines.
Wow.
But if you do flight training at one of these like fast track companies like ATP, I know the one in North Carolina is like Blue Line Aviation.
Mhm.
You can do all your trainings and get all your ratings within, I want to say, 8 to 9 months. I don't know if
That's
that's
pretty
accurate, but
quick.
around 8 to 9 months, and that's all your ratings. So right now I only have three. I've only gone up to commercial, but these locations you can get everything in like 9 months, but it's very um, it's extremely fast paced, and so I think if you can't keep up with that pace, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they will not care if you fail out. So
Dang.
yeah, it's just the next person. So
Just like if you could just look at yourself right now. I mean, you can keep talking about like flights and flight training the whole day, right? Like that's how you
I
know
could
you're
I could do it, and that's how I know
that's how you
I
know
like
you're in the right track.
yeah.
But
And
was there any time while you were flight training, possibly maybe during the beginning of your journey, where you were like, "Man, this is not for me." Like you're like in the air, you're like, "Holy, what am I doing? Why am
um
I?" Or
no
are you
no
just like, "No, like this is like you felt the whole way through you felt pretty comfortable."
uh I wouldn't say comfortable, but there was no point in my training where I said, why did I sign up for this? Like,
Wow.
yeah, I didn't say
That's
like,
pretty, yeah, you're like pretty
yeah.
convicted.
I was pretty convinced that like I was very motivated. Like this is I think after my second or third flight, I was pretty much dialed on. I knew this is what I wanted to do, and I was just pretty much moving forward. And now some parts of the training were pretty difficult, but not enough to kind of like
Make
um,
you quit.
make you quit. It just made me like want to work harder. So
Oh,
I
that's
was
how you know you're on the right track. It's like you
that's
see a challenge
yeah,
and you're usually like, man, what do I need to do to get to that next level?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I've done pretty well at the school. Like they've given me extra responsibilities. I know they see me as like, okay, um, moving pretty fast. I know if you're a traditional student, and I already had a prior degree, so I was transferring a lot of credits over. So I've
Oh
only
yeah,
been here for 2 years, and I'm already pretty much at. I've gotten my certificates all up to commercial. But usually they say it's about one rating
that's my
per
bro.
per year. Yeah, one rating per year, right? One rating
Yeah.
per year, but So right now I'm moving pretty fast to my my standards as well. So it's exciting. I can't uh,
Man, it's like is flying as complicated as it like looks like? Because you see pictures of like the cockpit. There's so many buttons everywhere and like toggles and stuff like that. Is it as complicated as people think it is, or is it all like you just click this and click this? Or everything is autopilot.
so
Pun intended.
I've never like I've seen how complicated like the cockpits are, the flight deck is
Yeah.
usually in like these larger jets, and I can't say I would know too much about that, but I know in the planes that we're flying, like the trainer planes that we're using, everything is procedural. Everything has procedure. And the thing is, once you get that in your mind that everything has a process, it
Uh-huh.
makes it easier. It's just kind of getting your mind like accustomed to that, like having a proper flow, just making sure you double check. Like they train you to kind of uh, a proper way to kind of do things, and
Yeah.
then you kind of just double check and verify with a checklist. And then once you get that, then they teach you how to do a proper, like how to fly straight, how to do climbs, like those you can easily go up there and practice, But the one thing that I find difficult is just staying ahead. You really have to stay ahead of the plane. Like you can't get too complacent because sometimes you go up there and you're like, oh, um, sometimes when things are going smooth, you feel like you just want to take a step back and not do anything because everything's pretty chill, you know.
Yeah. This is not
But
like where you're doing cruise control on a car.
exactly, like you're doing cruise control, you can,
Yeah.
but then you have to always be thinking like, hey, if something happens, where do I land? Or if something happens, I'm already looking for what I'm doing next, or I know I have to talk to the next tower or somebody that they're handing me off to. So I'm already jotting
Right.
down the frequency I'm preparing. Or you're always trying to be proactive instead of reactive.
Oh. So you don't
That's the
really
thing.
have you flown alone? Like by
Oh
yourself
yeah,
or
yeah. So
oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you had to have like an instructor with you and when you do fly alone. That's a lot of time by yourself. Do you
it
like
is.
do you
It is.
like what do you think? What are your thoughts up there when you're up there? Do you think of like the most random stuff?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I have the most
Yeah.
random thoughts. I'm like, oh, okay, because like sometimes I like some of my classmates, they're able to kind of like connect to Bluetooth or listen to music, but then for me, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I should be like aware, right? Like
Yeah.
alert. You have safety systems in place to kind of help you. Um, like there's always traffic avoidance. There's a traffic avoidance system, so kind of it shows you a relative idea of like where the planes are around you, how far apart, like how high they are. But sometimes when you get those flights where they give you one of the older aircrafts or the older planes
Yeah.
that don't have that system in place, it's like you're pretty much wide wide awake, like really alert, looking for planes, and it's super It's really for me, it's difficult. I can't tell if that's a piece of dirt on the windscreen or
Or
an
like
aircraft. Like,
or like a flock of birds just like heading straight into your
I have had to avoid a flock of birds one
No
time.
way.
Yeah, it was
With a small aircraft?
yeah, it was pretty scary. I will tell you that.
Whoa.
And so like
So
I've
that's why you
had
can't just be on cruise control.
you can't always be in cruise control.
Yeah.
Not always cruise control. Now like you can just to kind of like keep yourself fresh.
Yeah.
You have cruise control. You have like autopilot to kind of like help you like manage your your I guess your task management because
Yeah.
you can get task saturated up there. When you're
Like
doing
what do you
every
mean? Oh yeah, cuz you just get bored and probably tired is what you're saying. Like you get too many stuff. You're doing too many
so
things that you get like fatigued. Is that what you're saying?
like there'll be phases of that flight where nothing's happening,
Hmm.
and then there'll be phases of that flight where everything is happening at the same time.
Oh,
So you kind of have to train yourself to divide those tasks so that when you're doing nothing, you're already prepping up for that next phase, right? Instead of just chilling right here because there's nothing going on, but by the time you get to that next phase, you're like everything's happening at the same time. Like I'm getting overwhelmed, you know? And so what they like to do is they like to make sure that the tasks that are overwhelming them, they can do that ahead of time. If you can do them ahead of time, that way, once you get to that point, you're not really like stressed. You know, you can easily manage your stress and say, okay, I can do this now. I can transfer the frequency here or there, and you're not overly worked. And that's the only thing is like division of your attention is a big thing when you're flying. Time management, task management, that's a very big thing. And then if you really have a hard time with task management, you can use autopilot. So you can use autopilot. You're like,
you can always go back to that if
yeah, and
if
they
you
tell
can,
you.
if you can, yeah.
No, they tell you like do not wait for the last minute. If you really find yourself being stressed and overworked, hit the autopilot, give yourself a breather, and then because at that point, yeah, just reset. Yeah, exactly.
What's so 2-part question. This is probably my last question on the flight thing. What's like your dream job? Like the route. Like, is it just local here? Is it just national? Is it international? And the airlines, if they're listening here, wink, wink. and what's like the craziest like piece of aircraft that you wanna maneuver? Like, it could be a helicopter or like a F-16 fighter jet. Like, yeah, that's
like for that second question is like, if I had the opportunity to
If they were like, we'll give you a free pass. We're looking at bright pilots that can transfer their skills over. What's a crazy like out there aircraft that you wanna something? It has to be in the air, right? Like
yeah. So I know with that, like I know in the past I would say like a jet, like any jet, military jet. But while I was working at the airport as an intern, I really had a chance to see a lot of these H-60s, like these helos, and I think it's extremely cool seeing like helicopter operations. I do. I'm like, and I like the fact that you can fly low and slow, and it's
what is it called again?
Like your H-60s.
H-60s.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, look up H-60s. They're pretty. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah.
Black Hawk, is it called?
They look like Black Hawk, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I can. This is like the second time I'm using Riverside, so let me see if I can share my screen here. I think I can share my screen. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's Sikorsky.
Let's see. I think I can.
I have spoken to Misty about that, like maybe sometime later in the future. Not just yet, but
Can you see my screen?
yes, I can see it exactly. Yep, that's it.
Oh my God, these monsters!
It's not as big as some of the other ones, but like I do like that particular aircraft.
If you're just if you're listening and you're not watching the YouTube version, like, so I just pulled up the H-60 that Ray was talking about, and this is like one of those. It looks like from those movies, like the military action movies, where they drop the fighters into the field. It's pretty insane.
Actually, the Coast Guard actually uses this particular aircraft for like their search and rescue. So
wow,
that's why you'll see them. They'll do like auto rotation like exercises where they'll simulate like engine loss or like like engine failure, and they literally just
cool.
float down to the ground, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But
do you know if it's just one man as a pilot for those, or does it have
I
to be
no,
trade?
I believe they have like a pilot, co-pilot.
Oh,
Um,
okay, okay. So it's
yeah.
just like those Boeing.
hmm
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of these aircrafts. I don't think are single pilot operations. I
Oh
know.
yeah, that's a big misconception. I always thought you can always just do a pilot. You have to have a co-pilot, huh?
No, no, not necessarily. So I know
Oh,
some charter companies, or some charter jets, you can fly single pilot, you know, but and they'll usually tell you that when you first sign up with a company or when you start flying for that company, they'll tell you which planes can allow or can support single pilot operations. But I know for most airliners though, like if you're talking about the airlines, they are um, pilot and co-pilot. There's usually two pilots on board.
man.
But yes, and then the first question, which company you said?
Like just your dream job. Like if you had, you can just press that button, it'll happen.
Oh man, it's like
Obviously, your dream jobs can change over time,
mhm.
but right now where you are, if you're just like, I want to be with that company and doing this route, I just want to go. I don't know the routes like California to, or just do all national. I just want to stay in the U.S. Or you want to do international,
I
and
think
yeah.
for me, I know when I eventually start flying, I know you're going to be flying a lot of like national or like domestic flights or domestic routes.
Uh-huh.
But eventually, like my dream is eventually trying to fly like internationally. Um,
Okay.
Company wise, I know United has a lot of flights internationally. They have in their fleet the most wide body aircrafts currently out of all the three, like American, United, and Delta.
Yeah.
So they have more opportunities of flying longer routes, like international routes. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they have more international flights or routes compared to the big three, or like Delta, American, and
Big
United.
three U.S. You mean?
Yeah,
No, okay.
but if if I had a chance to fly international or one of the international airlines, um, a lot of times, they have their own personal requirements, like language. You need to know a certain language, or I know special requirements about their particular airspace. But if I could fly though, um, I was looking at like Emirates is nice, a good one.
Ooh,
Emirates is a good
yes.
one.
Emirates is good.
Etihad is a good one.
Etihad is good. Any of those,
Yeah,
even Qatar is good.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Qatar Airways, man,
yeah. So one of
yeah.
those three. But I know competition there is pretty
What
hard.
if
And
Emirates or any of those um, Middle East airlines ask you to move there? Like you can be the main captain of any of these. You pick which airline, but you have to move here. This has to be
oh,
your base.
I would go in a heartought.
Whoa,
I would go in a
really?
heartbeat.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I think I told that to Misty, and I think Misty is on board with that. She wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
I mean, because like I know how the UAE is. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
you
It's
know
safe.
I
It's a nice
yeah
place for kids to grow up
yeah
to. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I
I
mean,
always
I
thought
would move
maybe
there.
when I get older, I would probably spend a little bit more time in the UAE, like spend 2 months there with the
Oh
kids.
yeah, like split the time.
Yeah, split time there,
hmm
and then Philippines, and then yeah.
I know Misty's more particular with like the European airlines, so like she's a really big fan of like British. So she's always trying to get me to like, hey, maybe we can make it like I think what are the two British airlines? I know it's
Oh,
British Airways and Virgin.
oh yeah, yeah.
Virgin, that's a good one. But I was already looking into that, and I'm like, I know you have to be a citizen, and like I'm like, oh, it's just
It's a
they're
lot,
not
right?
gonna give you a work visa because you're flying. Because I feel like I don't think that's um, a very in demand career where they
Yeah.
would give you a work visa, and so, but yeah,
Good answers. I think that's all I had on
yeah.
the flight stuff, which man, you're doing. You make us proud, man. All of us, your brothers, you make us proud, dude.
Yeah,
Just keep going. Just keep going.
Thank you.
I know. I always call you captain now, so it's gonna happen. So before I let you go, I played. I don't know if you watched Jam's episode. I wanted to play a little ito o yan, this or that. So let's do it before we go. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
So just 3 seconds, and whatever comes to mind. That's you got to pick quick.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Lumpia o turon?
Lumpia.
Lumpia. Oh, that was quick, just like Jam. Lechon manok or Jollibee Chicken Joy?
Ooh.
This one was
tough.
hard for me too.
Do you have unlimited rice? Lechon manok?
That is the most Filipino answer. Unlimited rice, yeah, sure.
Alright, lechon manok.
All right, adobo or sinigang?
Oh no, I'm sinigang all the way.
Oh,
yeah, I'm
okay.
sinigang all the way.
Sinigang gang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sinigang.
Sinigang. Halo-halo or leche flan?
Ooh, halo.
Halo-halo, okay. Leche flan on top of the halo-halo.
Ooh, yeah, actually, yeah.
Jeepney or was that?
I saw like the halo with the leche flan and the mango.
Oh my! The overload. Man. Jeepney or tricycle? I don't know if you have tricycle in
Cebu,
right?
Yeah, we do.
Tricycle or some people call it like the other one with the 2 wheels in the back. What is it called? It's like a tuk or a tuk.
So we have the tricycle, but we also have the one with just the bike. It's called like a habal.
Oh, habal. Okay. So
yeah.
let's change that. Jeepney or habal.
Oh, habal.
keep it Cebuano. Okay. Palabok or pansit?
Ooh.
Or I guess pansit palabok or pansit canton. Like that.
Ooh, yeah, pansit canton.
Pansit canton.
Definitely, yeah.
Same here. This one is Filipino spaghetti or Italian spaghetti?
Man. See, I haven't had like authentic Italian spaghetti yet.
Well, just I guess the best Italian spaghetti you've had here in the US.
Okay, so best Italian spaghetti? It's tough. That's tough. That's
3, 2, 1.
Okay, Jollibee, not Jollibee. Filipino spaghetti.
You're thinking Jollibee.
Jollibee spaghetti. So Filipino spaghetti. I would say Filipino spaghetti.
Yeah.
Because me and Misty actually Misty likes the sweeter taste.
I like the sweeter taste too, but if I had to pick now, I always go Italian spaghetti.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid, I would eat that up, right? Because it's sweet. But now I feel like it's too sweet for me. I still will eat Filipino spaghetti. Don't get me wrong, but like if I had to choose, I'd just go Italian, just because it's sweet. And last one. Yeah. This is gonna be hard, and hopefully Tita and Tito are not gonna watch this. Mom's cooking or dad's cooking? Is it gonna be mom's or pops? Oh.
I would have to say my mom's cooking. Mom's,
okay. Yeah. That's the correct answer. You're gonna tell me offline later what your real answer. Oh, man! Thank you for coming on, dude. Really appreciate it. That was a lot, man. I was really interested in your flight training, and man, that was I can tell you love this stuff, dude. So just keep going.